Welcome to the Champions Round podcast. My name is Jason Gold, and once again, I am joined by Dan Titus, the legend himself. Dan, how you doing this fine Wednesday afternoon?
Jason, what's good, brother? Happy to talk about NBA draft, man. This is the best time of the year. We got rumors flying left and right. We got people that are moving, sliding up and down the draft boards, man. I'm hyped to talk about it.
All right, let's get started. So last time we did this for the NFL draft, if you were listening, we made you guys some money. We did pretty well. I'm excited to try and make us a little money too. And just like my 4 straight wide receivers in a row bet that almost cashed, not quite. I have another one at the end of the podcast this time that hopefully everybody will make a lot of money on. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But let's start out at the top of the draft. The Detroit Pistons have the first pick. And it seems very likely that they're going to go with the number one guy on everyone's board, seemingly, Cade Cunningham. Do you think that that's the way that they will go? And do you think that that is the right pick at number one?
Yeah, I think it's the sure bet of the draft. Right now, it seems like Cade Cunningham is a tier above everybody else in the class. Now, is he the best prospect? I don't think so, but I think he's the most game ready and has the most complete package offensively and defensively that you can have, at least right now in the draft. I mean, everyone and their mom is trying to trade up for this Detroit number one pick, and they're not listening to any offers. It doesn't matter if they're offering, Shea Gilgis Alexander
Yeah.
and a plethora of picks from Sam Presti. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But, I think that this is probably one of the best times that Oklahoma City is probably going to try to use some of that draft capital that they've been acquiring over the years. But, when you look at Cade's package, man, like the mid-range game, he can pass. He's really good at the free throw line. He can shoot the three. He pretty much can do everything. So to me, it's a no-brainer number one pick. And I don't see Detroit letting up, either trading this pick or going for somebody else, because he's the best in the class.
It definitely seems like it's going to have to be a Godfather offer for them to even consider getting off of Cade. And even if that comes in, like you said, a shy plus number 6 plus maybe 17 and then an unprotected future first, like maybe that gets that done, which is kind of crazy. Like there's no lock. Like I don't think that Cade is in the Zion AD realm of absolute sure luck to be an all-star. We're not talking about that sort of player. We're talking about, yeah, in a normal year, he's a good guy to go number one. But this is not, the surest of bets. So I'm a little surprised that they wouldn't consider something like that. But that seems like that's what they're going to do, is just sit on the pick. And from my perspective, he's a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", can handle the rock, can do anything that you want in offense. Perfect for modern day basketball. The Pistons haven't had someone like that, I don't know, in 30 years. So anyway, so do you think that, is there anyone besides Cade? You said that you don't think that he's the best prospect. Who do you think is the best prospect in this draft?
I think you could make a case for Evan Mobley. I think you could make a case for Jalen Green. Mainly because I'm gonna say Mobley, because I think right now he's a bit skinny, but I think if he grows into an NBA body, we've seen what he can do in offensively and defensively. He kind of gives me vibes of like Chris Bosh. And if you can get a Chris Bosh type of player in this draft, at number 3, that's right around the area where Bosh was drafted. It took time for him to grow with the Raptors squad, but ultimately he became a Hall of Famer, right? So I think he has that pedigree, that potential. Jalen Green, to me, has probably the highest ceiling out of all the players in this draft, mainly because, he went straight to the G League Ignite team. We saw what he was capable of. I mean, this guy had scholarship offers to almost every squad in the country. He could have gotten the bag internationally if he wanted to, but this guy's skill set and his mentality to the game, like I think he's got one of those Devin Booker, type, strokes, but he also has that complete game and the mentality to want to win. And he's already made he's already stated that he wants to be rookie of the year. This guy has that dog mentality that I think you want in a franchise player like his caliber. So, I think that he definitely could wind up being the best player of this draft as well. Want to go back to Cade real quick for a second. Do you have any draft comps to Cade Cunningham? Because to me, and I know it sounds kind of obvious because this guy came from Detroit, or he started his career in Detroit, but he reminds me a lot of Grant Hill. And Grant Hill was a very versatile player before all the ankle injuries when he went to Orlando and Phoenix. Some of the young Bucks might remember that version of Grant Hill, but I remember the all-star version of Grant Hill when he was on Fila, balling out, doing literally everything, a triple-double dude. I think Cade Cunningham could be that type of a player.
Yeah, I definitely see the comp to Hill, certainly in terms of his size and overall abilities. The guy in the modern NBA that I would probably say he reminds me the most of would be maybe like Jason Tatum. Maybe not quite as skilled as a scorer yet, but maybe a little better overall game than when Tatum came out of Duke.
Sure.
So that would kind of be the guy that I'm thinking of. If I'm Detroit, I'm like, oh, if I'm getting Tatum at number one, sold.
Right.
Let me sign up right now. Let's move on to number two. Houston has an interesting decision here. So seemingly, if Cade goes one, they're in a situation where they could trade down. They're probably not going to. They'll take the next best guy on the board, and it's between Mobley and Green. From everything that I'm hearing, I've made a bet on Green going number two. I bet him at minus 210. He's currently minus
400.
500. I see on my site. So
geez.
yeah, this morning it was minus 325. So some information must have come out. Do you think that that's the right pick for Houston, or would you go Mobley? I know they have Christian Wood, but I don't think that you can make a decision based on the fact that you have Christian Wood right now. Like, he should not be any part of your long-term thinking if you're going to make a draft pick right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've already made that seemingly long-term commitment to Christian Wood. They gave him the bag in the offseason. So to me, if you're taking the best player available on upside, you're in a rebuilding franchise right now where you're really going to be looking to build around Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood, Kenyon Martin Jr., excuse me. There's this young player surrounded by these old heads, which is like John Wall and Eric Gordon. Wouldn't be surprised if Eric Gordon is moved, for a vet, at some point for some roster that's looking for win now. He doesn't really have a place in Houston anymore. John Wall, unfortunately, just has a horrible contract, so it's going to be hard to offload him. So to me, I think you grab Jalen Green here. I think that's the best opportunity for someone to thrive. You're going to get a backcourt potentially of two really high caliber players. And you slot into that shooting guard spot right there. So he has the ability to handle the ball. I think it's a no-brainer for the Houston Rockets to go guard here, mainly because you've already invested in Christian Wood. Now, if there are plans to move Wood and possibly others for this pick, and maybe you can move back and possibly get Evan Mobley, sure, that's certainly a consideration. But at this stage of the game, the way the books are moving and the way the energy is surrounding this pick, I think Jalen Green is going to be had at the Houston Rockets at the number 2 pick.
Yeah, and I think that it's actually the right decision. Not only was Green excellent in the G League, but he was the number 1 recruit coming out of high school, ahead of Cade,
Right.
ahead of Mobley. So the talent is obvious. My opinion on this in terms of a team building standpoint is that you always get the playmaker first, and then you get the big guy to go along with. That's the way that the modern NBA at least should work. Like, you have LeBron,
Totally
you go get AD. The only situation that this didn't really go into was Giannis. It's such a unique case because he was taken 15th as a project. Like, you didn't expect him to turn into this, right? So you go get the playmaker first. Go get Green. He's going to be your guy. He'll be he's not like Harden, but he's your new Harden. He's the guy you're going to build around. And if Christian Wood's the big guy that you put with him, great. If he isn't, okay. You can go get another one at some point down the road, but you have to get your guy now. You have to get your playmaker. So I understand why they're going to go in this direction. That brings us to Cleveland at number 3. Interesting. It seems, even though they have Allen, who's a restricted free agent, Mo was just. I think that there's a clear 1 with Cade and 2 3 is very clear, and then 4 or 5 seems pretty clear to me. And then there's a little gap off there where things are going to get a little weird. Do you think they should go Mobley, or should they entertain a draft a trade that could be OKC trying to come up for Mobley and they drop back to 6 and get something else in return?
You hit the nail on the head. That's where I think is the best draft trade up opportunity right now is, can Oklahoma City move up to that number 3 spot for possibly a trade for Evan Mobley? They got rid of Moses Brown in this offseason, sent him off to Boston. Al Horford's there, but he's going to get bought out. They don't have a real front court presence. It's really Alexei Pokushevsky, who's like super young but super lean. I think he more projects as like a 3 stretch 4 type of guy. You got to get Evan Mobley to pair with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here. I think that just makes logical sense here. As from a Cleveland standpoint, if they don't move this pick, I think that they still select Evan Mobley here. They've come out and talked about wanting to re-sign Jared Allen, but I don't know. I feel like you don't have to pay him. Like, why not just draft your center for the future? You already have Kevin Love there. Shitty contract. Get him off the books eventually. Build around Darius Garland and Evan Mobley potentially, and Isaac Okoro, who you drafted number 5 the previous season. So you have your guard, your wing, and your big. That's a great foundation to start a franchise with, rather than spending that cap on, say, like a Jared Allen. Colin Sexton's already been rumored to be on the block, so who knows whether he's going to be around there. I think you draft Evan Mobley here if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. If not, make the trade with someone like Oklahoma City that may be looking to move up for a big man.
So regardless, we're very clear that Mobley is going to go third. So Mobley to be the third pick, it doesn't matter which team, is minus 400 right now. Okay, so we have Cade, we have Jalen, we have Mobley. So we have 1, 2, 3. The fourth part of this is where it gets interesting. We have the Toronto Raptors with the 4th pick. They're probably between 2 guys right now. They're between, and if the first 3 go the way we think, they're between Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga or Scottie Barnes from Florida State. Barnes has been wildly rumored to be a player who's either going to go 4 or 5. His current total is under 5.5, minus 400. He's going to be 4 or 5. The bets that I have made thus far, the big one here is, I should also mention, I bet Mobley minus 175 to be the 3rd pick. I feel very good about that one right now.
Feel great about that one.
So the first 4 correct in a row. So Cade, Green, Mobley, and then I found a plus situation. So I bet Suggs to be the 4th one there. That was plus 110. That's now minus 150. And I got Barnes to be the 4th part of that also at plus 800. That's my best bet of the week. That's my best bet of the week.
Damn, that's gonna be nice, man. Because like from what I'm hearing, Scottie Barnes could go as high as 4. So I think you're right. You have the selection process right on par with it being Suggs and or Barnes here. The question I'm going to have is, what are the Raptors are clearly in the market to do something, right? They've already come out saying that they want to trade for Ben Simmons. Lowry is going to probably be had in a signing trade. I think Fred VanVleet will probably be there, but Pascal Siakam's been rumored to be a piece. Maybe Chris Boucher. I think if they keep this pick, man, they got to go Jalen Suggs if you're planning to lose your starting point guard in Kyle Lowry. I think it makes a lot of sense. We know what the pedigree that Jalen Suggs brings. He's going to be solid. Had a great run in the tournament. The guy's a baller, very highly ranked prospect coming out of high school. So I don't think you lose by taking Jalen Suggs here. I think the reach may be for Scottie Barnes in terms of like his development. Like I think Scottie Barnes is going to take a little bit more time to develop offensively. Defensively, he slots in perfectly there. I think he could really be a force coming from Florida State. But I think Jalen Suggs is the better fit. But from a betting perspective, you got to go Suggs or Barnes here at number 4.
So right now, the 4th pick odds, Suggs is minus 215 and Barnes is plus 200. 5th overall, Barnes is minus 250, Suggs is plus 300. So if you really believe that Barnes is going number 4, you could make a lot of money betting all of these all the way around. My hunch is that he's going to end up going 5th to Orlando. But I would not be surprised to see him 4. He's flying up the charts right now. And there's a lot of rumors that a lot of teams really like him. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would also be interested to see if Toronto's going to just include this in some sort of trade tomorrow night. You could see, so between 3 and 4, I think there's a lot of different possibilities for trades.
I think you're right. And, you alluded to it. I think Orlando's the fit for Scottie Barnes here.
All right, let's move.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. Go ahead.
All right, let's move on to sorry. The 6th pick in the draft. So we got 1 through 5. 6 is where things get really interesting here. I don't know where OKC is going to go if they stay on the clock at 6. Seems like there's a lot of rumors that it may be Book Night from UConn. Do you think that that's where they should go, or would you like to see them take a prospect who potentially has a higher upside like Kuminga?
I think Kuminga would be really good in Oklahoma City, to be honest. I think we saw him play alongside Jalen Green in the Ignite team, and I think he balled out, man. The kid's definitely going to be a really good talent that the Warriors are trying to covet if they decide to keep their pick at number 7. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Kuminga can move up to a 6 spot. But I do agree with you that more than likely it's going to be Book Night here. He does have a little bit to be desired in terms of his 3-point shooting. He's definitely going to have to improve there. But the guy out of UConn, he definitely he could be a good fit. But like he doesn't really, from what I was reading earlier, he doesn't really grade out by a lot of pundits in terms of the analytics of his abilities. But the talent is there, right? So I think there's a good chance that he could go at 6, but I'm just not trusting the fact that Sam Presti waited all this time, made all these moves to just stand by and just take this number 6 selection without having a shot at moving up to get somebody better here. Because I think this is the spot where you're getting to a different tier of basketball player that I think is not going to be franchise changing, altering type talent, right? So at least not right now. And that's what I think you need to build around Shea, or else you're not going to keep. He's not going to want to stay there for very much longer. He's going to be a part of continual rebuilds every year.
Yeah, Book Knight seems like a guy that you put on a contender. Like I could see Golden State taking him at 7. Like he would make much more sense in that situation than he does on a rebuilding team like OKC. Which kind of brings us to the Warriors, who my personal opinion, I think they're going to end up trading 7 and 14 together with something tomorrow night. I just don't know what yet. If they stay on the board, I have no idea where they go. Do they go Josh Giddey? Do they go Kuminga? Do they go upside? Do they go to try and plug a hole on their roster right now? Golden State is in maybe the most interesting spot of anyone in the draft tomorrow night.
Yeah, Giddey. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies, they made their trade for they traded away Giannis Valanciunas for the potentially they've been enamored with Josh Giddey for quite some time. So I think there's going to be a lot of suitors for Josh Giddey here. I think he led the NBL in assists at a very young age. He's obviously plays for the Australian national team. I think we're seeing him on the Olympic stage really get some shine here. With his versatility, man, and his ability to take care of the ball, he can play several different wing positions. I think he's going to be a hot commodity here. So depending on what happens with Kuminga and Boat Night here, I think I don't know. I think Josh Giddey could go as high as 7, but I think worst case he's going to fall, to maybe 10. But I don't see him going anywhere beyond number 10 just based off of what we've been reading and hearing in the media about how much of these back end teams in the lottery are really, really high on this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think that the Warriors are going to end up trading 7 and 14 tomorrow night, or you think they're going to end up making their picks?
Because the Warriors are in the unique situation where it's like they drafted James Wiseman last year, like youngest developing talent that they have on their team, but they're also in this window of time where they're just kind of running out. Like you have Steph Curry in his prime, you have Draymond Green probably regressing, I would say, on the terms of his career trajectory, and you have Klay Thompson coming off a very serious injury. So to me, I think you got to mortgage this draft capital and go get yourself a better player. So whether that be a Bradley Beal, I don't know that they're going to be in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes. I don't think they're going to have enough time to figure that one out. But, I think that they're going to have to figure out a package of picks, number 7, Wiggins, something to bolster this team to really make a run in the playoffs. Because right now, the way that this team is constructed, I don't think they don't have enough time to be able to take on another project or someone that's not ready to contribute right away.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And I think that Golden State is absolutely going to trade 7 and 14 tomorrow night and try and get something really, really special in return to try and win another championship while they have this core together. Let's move on. Number 8, we have Orlando back on the clock, I think that they just go another upside. If Kuminga's there, they do everything that they can to go get him. If not, maybe Moody, something like that. I don't think that they're going to go for a low upside guy, high floor guy like Davion Mitchell or something like that.
Yeah, this was my best bet that I scooped up pretty early. I got Moses Moody under 11.5. I got that at plus odds at like plus 200 about two or 3 weeks ago. And now I see that that's moved to minus 140. And I think that this could be a good play. I liked your idea of Kuminga if he actually falls to number 8 here. I like that a lot. I think Moody's a good safe pick as well. High floor. I think he could definitely contribute. But the dark horse I had here was the guy that you just faded, was Davion Mitchell, mainly because this guy is just a bucket getter. And I think that the Magic are really missing that star power. You know, Markelle Fultz is not a dynamic scorer, but I think he's a decent playmaking point guard. Cole Anthony can't shoot worth a lick either. So, you know, you already have that guard play, but I think you could get another guy like him. He could be a great scoring boost off the bench that could potentially slot in a starting role if you want to go do a 3-guard front eventually. But I think that that's like my dark horse. And I know he's been kind of sliding back down draft boards here. I think his over-under is still sitting at 10.5, and it's going closer to that 10 side. But I think it's definitely a good possibility that they're going to grab Moody here.
Yeah, so I actually have a couple of bets based on this. Moody, I also did. I got it at under 12, so I'm there with you. Let's hope that one comes through at 8 or 9.
Yeah,
and I have Mitchell over 8.5, which I feel pretty good about at this point. The reason that I don't think that I'll see Mitchell, I don't think that he necessarily makes sense at 7. He's definitely not going to go 6. And Orlando at 8. Their GM is Hammond, the guy who drafted Giannis. This is a guy who just takes massive swings. And I think that he was just proven right.
Wingspans and they like the freaks.
I mean, he also took Thon Maker right after Giannis, right? So like he very clearly has a type that he wants.
A type,
which makes sense that he would go and get Kuminga if he's there at 8. Right. Like that is his perfect type of guy, even though Kuminga struggled last year in the G League. So with huge upside, was great in high school. I think that makes a lot of sense there. But for our purposes, let's hope it's Moody. I also think number 9, which we're getting to right now with the Sacramento Kings, I think that's a great spot for Moody. I also have heard rumors that they may be interested in the other Wagner. So we'll see what happens there. I think it'll probably come down to one of those two guys.
Yeah, well, since you just teased it, I think going into the Kings pick right here, I think Franz Wagner looks great for the Kings at number 9, considering that, you know, they're probably not going to re-sign Richaun Holmes right now. Harrison Barnes is a solid small forward, but they could definitely use a 6'9" guy that can stretch the floor, play multiple positions. Brother of Mo Wagner. We're getting to see him also on the German national team in the Olympics here. So I don't know. I think that Franz has a really nice prospects going to the Kings here from his season in Michigan.
All right, so we'll get to number 10. Memphis, clearly Josh Giddey, if he's there, is the pick. I think that's
agreed.
Well circulated by this point. If he is not there, my guess is they probably go Wagner. So one of those two, this probably makes sense. Wagner's over-under right now is 9 on the dot, so it's probably safe if you're going to bet him to bet the over, because 9 you get pushed, 10 is over. What do you think about that bet? I haven't bet that yet, but I'm thinking about it.
I haven't either, but I think it's a Vegas is really sharp here, man. I don't like that 9 flat. Like, you're killing me here. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I think that there's a really good chance that he goes to the Kings here, but I don't know. I might stay away from the Wagner pick right now, just because I think that they nailed it on number 9, where I don't know if he happens to fall past that, I couldn't tell at all, because I don't know what, you know, man, the Giddey thing with Memphis too. It's tough, man. I don't know what Memphis is going to do. I think that I don't know. They don't have enough to really trade up to get their guy, but Yeah, you got to expect it to. Maybe they would go Franz there just because they lost, Valanciunas. I think that would make sense, and it would fit their up tempo style because I think that because they wanted Giddy, because they wanted to push tempo, get a guy maybe that can stretch the floor a little bit more than Valanciunas could. He's more of a old school traditional big bruiser type dude. Steven Adams isn't going to stay there. Eric Bledsoe damn sure isn't going to play play at any time with the Memphis Grizzlies. So yeah, I think it makes sense for them to target a guy that they can either shoot and or potentially they go backup point guard. Maybe there's some room there to get like a Mitchell or somebody of that caliber, but it also could be a Duarte. I don't know. It could be definitely somebody that's ready to contribute now because the Memphis Grizzlies were a playoff team last year. They could take that next step and wanting to put some pieces around them that can help them win now.
Yeah, I think that the Grizzlies have enough Oregon Ducks for my taste in Dylan Brooks. If they have more, I'm gonna have to start getting Grizzlies jerseys. So I kind of hope they avoid getting Duarte. Let's go to number 11, Charlotte. Kind of an interesting case here. I had heard rumors that they're really interested in Cade Jones, and I have made bets on that. So took Jones under 14.5, and I had Jones to be drafted ahead of Jalen Johnson. So I had heard that 2 days ago, and now it seems like maybe I was wrong and I'm going to lose all my bets there. So I'm not really sure. Getting a big to go along with LaMelo isn't the worst thing that I've ever heard. There's no real playmaker or like sidekick that I see out there at 11 that would be great for Ball to play with. So I'm kind of interested to see what the direction that they're going to take. But if I had to bet right now, I would take Kai Jones.
Yeah, I think that Kai Jones makes a lot of sense. I think this 11 and 12 pick is going to be really interesting because I think that the Hornets and the Spurs have very similar needs in terms of their big man. Like they need a rim protector. I'd say a dark horse you could do here. Not even a dark horse. I think he's climbing up the boards. I saw his draft prospects are number 13. I think over under 13. Alperen Sengun from Turkey, I think, is a good fit for Charlotte, mainly because they need a big desperately. And if it's not going to be Kai Jones, that's the only other big man that's still available right there. That makes sense.
So I actually have Sengun going 12 to San Antonio, and I bet his under 13.5. So I definitely think he's going to go in one of these two spots. I was kind of thinking the same thing. He's just such a San Antonio draft pick that I couldn't get that out of my head. I was like, oh, this guy's definitely going to San Antonio. So I'm just gonna keep betting that. If there was and there may be bets tomorrow where it's like I match the team to the player further down the line, I would so bet this in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love them at 11. I love him at 11 or 12. So that 13.5 bet is like looking like good money right there.
All right, number 13. We got two left in the lottery. We have Indiana. This to me like screams the Mitchell spot. This is the floor for him. If he doesn't go by here, Indiana's going to go and scoop him up. I think he'd be great for them. Tough defensively, can get a bucket, kind of a playmaker, can drive the lane and kick it out. Like it seems like something that the Pacers really need.
Yeah, I don't agree. I definitely think that this is, they've been in the market apparently for Ben Simmons as well. Malcolm Brogdon's his contract's gonna be up in about a year or so. They just got Karis LeVert, so they definitely could use some depth in terms of their backcourt. TJ McConnell has been great for them, but that's not a long-term solution. I think it makes sense to grab a Mitchell here. You need a playmaker. Grab the guard while he's still there. I don't think we see his slide go beyond 13.
All right, so last pick in the lottery, Golden State again. Again, we think this is probably going to be a trade spot for them. If they don't, my anticipation is that at 7 they will take a bigger shot. So maybe it's a Kuminga or Giddey, something like that. That's more of a project that has higher upside. And then at 14, they really grab someone who can fill a roster need right now. And I think that guy is Duarte. Absolutely throw him in the lineup right now on that second unit. Let him shoot the ball. Let him get to the line. It's exactly what he wants to do. You're not asking him to do too much in that offense with the players he has around. And he can contribute right away. I mean, he's 24 years old. He should be able to contribute right away. I think this would probably be a good spot for him to land.
I think you're right. That was going to be my final destination for Duarte is that the Warriors have already shown that they like ready now guys, as seen by drafting Draymond Green, getting a steal out of that in the second round some years ago. I think Duarte definitely slots in there very well to help that second unit, which was definitely a problem for the Warriors this past year. You know, Jordan Poole is their primary offense off the bench, and I think you got to slot in a guy like Duarte there to kind of help shoulder that. I think he could be a poor man's kind of Malcolm Brogdon. Like his game is really solid. He's very efficient, and he's an Oregon Duck. So you know you got to feel like you got to trust in some of those guards sometimes. Dylan Brooks shaped out to be really good on both sides of the ball. I like it for Duarte to go to a. If the Warriors decide to keep this pick, I think that's a logical destination.
So I was fading really early in the draft because he's 24 years old. Usually guys like that do not go in the lottery. Usually they fall down the board.
Yeah.
Seemingly he's jumped up for whatever reason. So I had bet him at over 21 and a half. That's a big fat L. And I bet him at over 19 and a half. That's also a loss. So those are fun, but he's a Duck, so I'm willing to I'm willing to lose some money on the guy. So that does it for the lottery. Now we get into the rest of the draft. I kind of want to go all over the board here with you. New York at 19 and 21. Who do you think some players that they should be targeting?
One guy that I was looking at was Cam Thomas out of
LSU.
LSU. Yeah. I mean, the guy's a bucket. And, you know, one thing that we saw out of the Knicks in the playoffs, they just couldn't get any buckets whatsoever. They have a bunch of veterans that they could choose to re-sign, you know, Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, a plethora of other ones that really don't move the needle. If you're going to draft, I mean, you already got Emmanuel Quickly, who's probably going to get more playing time next season. I think that you need an instant bucket, and that's Cam Thomas. His defense isn't there, but this guy scores at a lot of different levels, and he's really good at drawing fouls. Like he shot a lot of free throws in terms of per game on a per game basis. I think it's the kind of explosion that the Knicks have been looking for, that they got out of old Derrick Rose, that they're going to probably need, you know, going into this next era of their basketball team. I think Cam Thomas is a good bet there. Right now, he's slotted at 22 and a half. So, you know, if you're feeling dicey, you can get it at plus odds, I believe, to get him going at 21. But he has been sliding down draft boards. I think the latest Hollinger mock had him at 24. So yeah, he has been sliding quite a bit.
So I have Cam Thomas. I have a bet on him under 23 and a half. And actually, we're going to talk about this later. Your favorite player deeper down the draft. And Cam's, I think, good scorers out there. I don't care about his defense. He's super young. Scored 23 points a game last year as a freshman. Like, get this guy the rock. Someone's going to take him. I think that the Knicks make a lot of sense. I think that also, if the Knicks don't go with Cam Thomas, maybe the guy from Virginia, Trey Murphy, right? He's been rising up draft. Yeah, he's been rising up draft boards. I think he'd be a great player there. The problem with the Knicks is they only take CAA guys, so their draft pool is really small.
It's very true. It's very true.
So yeah, that'd be interesting to see who they try to target. Two more on the later picks. I want to talk about the Lakers for a little bit of some homer talk for me. Who do you think they should be targeting at 22? Do you think that they end up using it in a trade with KCP or Kuzma tomorrow night? If they do that, who do you think they can get in return? Kind of just a general Lakers talk.
Yeah, not to make this a homer conversation, but I did see a report today that the Lakers were interested in Duarte. So I think that that's another option. If they wanted to move up, they could definitely mortgage like a KCP or some aging veterans that they want to offload some contracts and get a younger player that can play now. And you know, we've already talked about all the things that Duarte brings. And one thing that we know about the Lakers is that they want to get players that are ready to contribute right now. I think he could slide in and he could slide in there on the bench. I'm curious what your thoughts are on Jeannie Buss and Pelinka saying that they want to re-sign Dennis Schroeder, which is a bit odd to me. I don't know how that really fits, considering that he pretty much just dogged them immediately after they lost and like deleted them from social media and all this other nonsense. But maybe that's just smoke. I think that the Lakers are going to have way bigger plans in free agency beyond Dennis Schroeder. So I think it makes sense if they're trying to get a player right now. It doesn't make sense to get a project guy, get a dude that's going to contribute right away, which to me, I think would be like a Duarte.
Yeah, so I think that if Duarte was there, if they keep the pick, that makes a lot of sense. If they're going to trade it, I've seen the Kuzma KCP 22 for Buddy Hield deal out there. That's intriguing. There's
Yeah.
just so many different avenues, and they have to be so creative in order to get any of these deals off that I'm not. It's almost like too much to think about. Like the Lowry DeRozan both coming to LA deal. I don't know how that works. Everybody keeps every
Making
dumb
that
Laker,
money move. Yeah, it's
every
going to be tough.
dumb Laker fan keeps bringing up the CP3 thing. That's not happening. Schroeder is kind of like, in my mind, the backup option a little bit. Like their hand may be forced to re-sign him just because they're not going to get anything else, and they hold his rights so they can take on his cap.
Sure.
And that Schroeder lost himself, $50 million during the season, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I personally, I don't really want him back, but he might be the best option out there. I don't know. The Heald trade, if you can get that done for KCP Kuz too, I think he'd make a lot of sense on the Lakers. He's like poor man Bradley Beal, and that's like the Lakers' like dream would be to get Bradley Beal in this situation. So sure, that would be great. I don't know why the Kings would necessarily do that for. I mean, that's basically a lot of trash coming back. So I really don't know what the Lakers are going to do, but from a fan standpoint, I would take that Hield trade in the second.
Yeah, I think the Hield trade makes the most sense because he's disgruntled. He's been wanting out of Sacramento for a long time, along with Marvin Bagley. I don't know that he comes along with that trade, but I feel like they're going to get scraps for Bagley at this point. But the Hield move makes a lot of sense because they need shooters around AD and LeBron, and Hield's lights out, man. Dude's 40% from the 3-point line, very underutilized in Sacramento, and I think he gets in a solid role, getting significant minutes up into the 30s for a Lakers roster. So if that's what the end game is here, I don't care. Like if I'm the Lakers, I probably wouldn't care about a draft pick. I'd trade up, trade out, whatever I got to do to get that veteran that's going to help win.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 2 final questions as we close this out. Best bet for the entire NBA draft, and what do you think the craziest trade is going to be tomorrow night?
My best bet, probably Moody under 11.5. I mean, I already placed that bet. It's still not super juiced yet. So I think him under 11.5 is still looking pretty good. My craziest trade, that one's going to be tough. So, we talked about the Thunder. We talked about possibly the Raptors. I'm going to go. I think that the Raptors are going to pull off some kind of a blockbuster for Kyle Lowry and picks. I don't know who it's going to be with. Maybe it's the Sixers. I think most likely it makes sense that the Warriors are going to be moving their picks. I just don't know what the destination is going to be because I think that they're coveting that superstar to that third guy to play alongside Steph and Clay. But I think that the Raptors have enough between their draft pick at number 4, potentially Chris Boucher, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry. They have amazing players to offer value-wise, plus a really valuable pick to get, potentially a really good player. So I think that the Raptors are going to be the ones to make the trade within the first top 5 picks in tomorrow's draft.
Mine, interestingly enough, also involves the Raptors, but it was kind of from a different perspective. I think that Siakam's going to go to Golden State for Wiggins 7 and 14 and something else.
Ooh, that's interesting. I mean, Siakam in Warriors, that's a nice fit. That's a real nice fit.
So Siakam goes to the Warriors, and then that means Toronto has 4, 7, 14, and a future first, plus Wiggins' contract. And then they have
that's just give me this contract. Let me suck for a year, and then we'll figure it out later.
It's just filler. But
yeah,
does Toronto then turn around and package 4, 7, 14 future first Lowry sign and trade for? Is that for Ben Simmons? We sign and trade, Lowry goes to Philly.
Damn, Jason Gold, the GM of the year right now. I mean, I love it as a Sixers fan. That's exactly what I wanted. If I'm looking for a package for Simmons, I wanted to include at least Lowry, and at least if it's going to be picks, it's got to include someone else like I don't know, an OG Anunoby, a Fred VanVleet, somebody, something. But we know that Toronto's been aggressive in the past, man. Like they've pulled off a blockbuster trade to get Kawhi Leonard in the past. You know, they don't have any front court help, so I'm not surprised that they're going to be looking to get anything and everything to fill out this roster around some of their cornerstone pieces. But yeah, man, I think that we're in agreement. At least it's going to be Toronto. All the pieces that remains to be seen, man, because they pretty much put everyone on the block right now. So if everyone's available for trade, shit, let's make it. Let's get the fireworks, the popcorn, all that. Let's see it.
If Golden State and Toronto do nothing tomorrow trade wise, I'm gonna break a TV because that's what I'm here for. You go to a NASCAR race to see crashes, and you go to the draft to see trades. I want to see trades.
100%. And much of the commentary around the beat writers in the NBA community is that this is going to be a very active draft, considering where some of these teams are at the bottom of the barrel of the playoffs, looking to get that next boost forward. You know, and then you have those teams that are fringe playoff teams that know that they're not shit and they're not going to win. So they might as well just, blow it up, get rid of some people, get some picks and look for a new future. So yeah, let's see all the action, man. I want draft trades. I want my phone to be blowing up like with Woj bombs, like all day, every day. Let's get it.
Absolutely. All right, Dan. It's been a pleasure talking to you once again, as always, on the Champions Round podcast. We will see you later, and everybody enjoy the NBA draft on ESPN tomorrow night. See you guys later.